Hi, it's Yetta Decker with the Decker team, Keller Williams Solid Rock Realty, and you're here today with the Inside Track. And I'm here with Ken Decker.
And I'm here with Yetta Decker.
And this will be lots of fun. So thanks for joining us today. And today we're going to talk about selling a home.
That can be a challenge sometimes, can it?
It can, because, yeah, it really can.
But that's why we're here. Now, some people might ask, Yetta, when they're thinking about selling a home, what do I do first? Do I buy first? Or do I sell my home and maybe be homeless?
Well, that depends on whether you like being homeless, I guess. No. Typically what you would do is we would have a conversation with you about what is more important to you. Is it more challenging in your world or in your perspective to sell your home? Or is it more challenging for you to find the home that you want? So the answer is really different, I think, for everybody. It's very much a conversation we have one-on-one with somebody. And for some folks, it really is better to buy first. And for others, for many, probably more often than not, if you currently own a home, it may be better to sell your home first, because then you'll know exactly how much money you have and exactly what timeline you need to work within. And then you would sell and then go and find a home.
Can I do both? Sort of buy a house conditional on selling the one I've got now?
You could. And certainly that's something we would call in our industry first right of refusal. And in that scenario, you're really limiting a little bit your negotiating strength.
Okay, so what you're saying is I may pay more for a house because it's not considered a cash offer, it's considered a conditional offer on the sale of another home?
Yeah, and so you might pay more, and then there's also a fair number of sellers, especially in a brisk market and in Ottawa, which generally moves quite well. So depending on where your home's located or the home's located that you want to buy, the seller may not be wanting to kind of conditionally tie it up, because it does reduce a little bit of the exposure in the marketplace. Although they can continue to show it, it doesn't give them quite the same exposure. And certainly somebody coming in from out of town who only has maybe 3 to 5 days to purchase a home, they're probably not going to look at it. And so by tying it up with a first right of refusal, it does limit who would be willing to look at the home. So if they're going to accept it, probably you're going to pay a bit more. And often they won't even accept it.
Okay. So we're going to sit down with a client who wants to sell their home and really discuss what's the best way of making that happen for them. The best way for us to help them meet their dreams and desires of a new home, whether it's bigger, smaller, more expensive, less expensive, different part of town, moving from the country to the city or city to the country. We do it all, right? We're going to sit there and really discuss their needs and wants.
Yeah, and a lot of times for different sellers who are also going to become buyers, so you're really wearing both hats at the same time, maybe financially it just isn't a good decision to risk owning two homes. And so therefore, and the reason I say risk, and often people say, what do you mean risk? Because if I buy a house before I've sold my house, aren't I going to guaranteedly going to own two homes? Well, no, because if we're going to do that and you've chosen that route, then we're going to negotiate a very long closing on the home you're buying, right, to reduce the probability of ever having to own the two homes. And so often, even if folks do decide that that's better for them, they're still not going to end up owning two homes. We're going to have the home sold long before they have to move into their new home.
And so one of the questions I think that begs to be asked, and most sellers are thinking it, so why don't we just put it out there on the table, and that is, well, why wouldn't I sell it by myself and save a commission?
Well, you could. It's certainly an option, and about 10% of the homes that are for sale privately, and the balance are for sale with somebody that is, in fact, a professional in the industry, selling property. And so it's a smaller percentage of the homes available. So sometimes buyers may not be as comfortable looking at a home that's for sale privately because maybe they don't feel they can be represented in the same way. Although if you've watched our earlier show on buyer representation and how we can exclusively care for somebody, then you'll see that, in fact, we can show you all homes, right? Mm-hmm. Except the common thought process may be that it's not as easy.
Right. Okay. So if I wanted to sell my house by myself, what kind of struggles would I run into?
Well, I guess it depends on whether you're a professional negotiator. If maybe you professionally negotiate in your current line of work, potentially you're going to be a stronger negotiator than the person that's coming to look at your home. And in fact, a lot of times, the person that's coming to look at your home is in fact going to be working with a realtor. So it's the realtor that's going to be coming and they're going to be negotiating. And therefore, they are a professional in the industry and they are a professional negotiator. So therefore, chances are, unless that's already your profession as well, you may be out negotiated. So that's certainly a concern and something I would look at as a very definite reality.
Yeah, I guess the average homeowner sells 3 to 5 homes in their lifetime.
Right.
And you sell 3 to 5 homes almost a week.
Right. That would be true.
So that would put you at a big advantage, I guess, in that area. Interesting. So what type of marketing would you do if, let's say I decided, okay, I'm going to go ahead and list my property with the Decker team? What kind of marketing actually sells homes?
Well, I think you've got to be very aware that throwing a sign on the lawn and putting it in the MLS is not necessarily enough.
So the MLS doesn't sell houses automatically?
Well, I guess if it did, then every home that's ever been on the MLS, on the multiple listing service, which is a professional service that we have, then every home there would sell. And I can show you pages and pages of expiries, canceled, and withdrawn listings in every neighborhood in the city of Ottawa, even those that move incredibly well. Because if you outprice your property or don't prepare it in phenomenal condition, it's still going to sit.
Right. So as a matter of fact, approximately 30% of the properties that are just put on the MLS, they never sell. And neighbors see the sign go up and then see the sign go down, and they might think that the property actually sold.
Right, and a lot of times that's simply not true.
Okay. All right, so what things really sell houses?
Well, certainly you're having a team of professionals that can specialize in all the different aspects of getting your home sold and keeping you safe. That is vital, and they can be the overseer of the details. So in terms of the actual marketing, we've certainly moved into the age of lots of computer technology and lots of internet marketing. So a typical ad in the local newspaper probably isn't going to have the same exposure and the same benefit to a homeowner or to the property getting sold as it did, say, 10 or 15 years ago. So today the internet really becomes vital.
As a matter of fact, I think National Association of Realtors polls where buyers come from and how they end up working with realtors, and 90% start their search on the internet. So the internet, as we know, is huge. And the trick is, if you throw your house up there all by yourself, you're probably not going to get what we call very many hits because they can't find it. Right. Whereas what we have is a very integrated internet marketing program where it goes on to multiple websites with multiple search engines optimizations. As a matter of fact, if you Google one of the houses that goes on to our Keller Williams listing service as well as the Decker Team website, and you Google that address, you're probably going to get the first page or two of Google is going to be all that property with a whole whack of different websites. And our clients sometimes ask us, how did you get it on all of those? Well, it's because of our system and process. It automatically gets there. And when you get onto the sites where people are actually searching for homes, then your home's going to be found. Otherwise, it's going to be lost in that internet web.
That's right, and it can be very confusing to try and find a particular property.
Yeah.
Now,
what about open houses?
Well, I've done a lot of open houses in my day. In the early days of our career, we would do, when we can, we would do 8 a weekend. You would do 4 and I would do 4.
That's
and
true.
we'd do a 1 to 3 and a 3 to 5, both Saturday and Sunday. And we met a lot of awesome folks that were looking for homes. And actually, we met a lot of sellers that were thinking of selling their home. And so open houses can be an amazing opportunity for realtors to meet potential new clients. And certainly that's how we met a lot of a lot of our clients, so if some of our clients are listening today and we met you that way, just know that we enjoyed meeting you that way. It was awesome. However, statistics would prove that only about 1% of homes are sold to the person coming through an open house to look at it.
Wow, but there's a lot of people that actually go to open houses.
Tons. And a lot of those folks, in fact, do buy houses. It's just they may, with the open house, they may not be in the price range of that particular property. They may just be looking at a potential area. It may be before they're really ready to purchase, or it may even be that they're out interviewing potential realtors to list their home with, to have them help sell their property. So the majority of your buyers are buyers at some point. They may not be active buyers currently in today's market, or even if they are, they may not be in the right price range, and they just may be a general look. And an interesting thing is that when you're looking for the perfect house, is chances are, if it came on the market on Tuesday and you really thought this was it, this is the one I want to live in, would you wait for the open house on Saturday or Sunday, or would you call your realtor and have them take you in immediately so as not to risk losing that particular property?
I know what I'd be doing, because I don't wait. I'd be calling my realtor and getting an exclusive showing where just me and my realtor, and we could talk about the property and see if it's the right one before we get the masses in on the weekend.
Exactly. And is that a similar experience you've had with open houses, Ken, or what would you say?
Yeah, I think that there's a number that sell through the open house, because people do, they get spring fever, they come out, it's warm, it's sunny, we're stuck in the house all winter, and we just want to get out and look at houses, look at decorating ideas. And people have fallen in love with homes, because buying's an emotional decision. People think it's a business decision to buy a house, but where you live and the feeling you get when you walk in that door, or when you drive up the driveway and you look at the curb appeal of your home, that feeling is an emotional feeling. That's what drives people to buy homes. We don't sell homes. We market homes to people. They come in, they fall in love with them, and they buy one. So open houses can work.
They can.
But it's just one of the little tools we use in our tool belt of ways of marketing a home. And another one that's very popular now, starting out for the buyers to use, is video, because they love to watch videos, and more video searches are done on the internet now than just about any other kind of search. So I know we've spent a lot of money and a lot of for technology and cameras and professionals to get video out of our properties. And that's one of our teams. One of the people that works on the Decker team is a video specialist. And that's another thing that's the advantage of going with a team, because if you're with a realtor that's trying to do everything themselves, or maybe they outsource it to another company that will do a video or whatever, I find it's still not quite the same as having your own people that you know exactly what you want from them. They know the process and they care about our clients, and they go and do our video and our pictures and for our marketing. Because how we market on the internet, remember 90% of buyers look on the internet first. So if your home is not presented in the absolute best light for the internet, then you're missing a big chunk of the possibility of selling your home for top dollar with the least amount of hassles in the shortest amount of time. And I think that's what most sellers want, right? They want the most money, they want to sell it as fast as they can, and they want to have the least amount of hassles, and that's where we come in.
Yeah, and even sometimes the seller will say to me, oh, I don't need to sell it quickly. And yet time is still a factor, I think, for most folks. And so anyway, if you're just joining us right now, this is the Inside Track with Ken and Yetta Decker of the Decker team with Keller Williams Solid Rock Realty. And we're so glad you've joined us. And today we're talking about selling a home.
Yeah, and we're just about actually to talk about the 7 Ps of selling a home. And that's a distinctive marketing and prospecting based way for the Decker team to sell a house. So tell us a little bit about the 7 Ps, Yetta.
Well, the first few are common to everybody. So the first one is put a sign on the lawn, and because a sign really does have an impact. According to statistics that we have for where buyers come from, still about 20% of buyers will be introduced to the home that they eventually own and choose to live in by the sign. So
Wow.
the sign is still
So
important.
they're driving by through a neighborhood or
Yeah.
whatever, or a neighbor sees the sign and calls them and says, "Hey, there's a house just came up on my market. I know you're thinking of moving." That kind of thing?
Yeah, that kind of thing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then the other, of course, is getting the property promoted in the multiple listing service. It is still a step that we do. I think it's one more tool in our tool belt, as you said earlier, Ken, and something that I think pretty much everybody does. Certainly not enough, because as I said earlier, every home would sell that was on the multiple listing service
Right.
if that's all it took.
And I think it's how it looks on the MLS service as well, because you can take poor pictures or you can take great pictures. And yeah, some people say, well, I got there and the pictures were better than the house. Or I think that's a better problem to have, because those people went to see the house because of the pictures, than to have people turned off by poor pictures and decide not to look at the house at all.
Right. And that is certainly a problem out there. You have to be careful with backlight and that kind of thing. And that's a common problem as you're looking at pictures, isn't it? And then you can't even see what's in the room.
And what's the third P?
Well, the third P that most realtors will do is pray that the home sells. And in fact, that's great, because if all you've done is the sign and the MLS, then that's kind of, you're hoping that another realtor is going to bring you an offer. And we're still going to do that, and we're going to do it earnestly.
So the Decker team prays daily for our clients, and that's a big part of our business. Okay, excellent.
And then the next is preparing your home for sale. And staging has become such a buzzword in our industry now. And people go, well, how much is that going to cost? That sounds really expensive. And are you going to take all my stuff out and bring in new stuff? And what, it's not like that at all. Typically, if you hire an outside stager, they're going to come in and give you a laundry list of what is required, maybe 1 or 2, 3 pages of things that you do to prepare your home. And yet we've chosen to, again, do the majority of that within our team. And so we have somebody on the team that's very good at getting the home ready, and they're actually going to walk alongside you. They're going to work with you for a half an hour, 2 hours, whatever it's going to really take for your particular property, and maybe maybe take out some of your pictures that are beautiful and they look great in your house, and yet it makes it feel like home to you and maybe not the buyer that's coming to look. So it may require that we bring in a few pieces of large artwork, something that will just enhance the home a little bit nicer and just draw the eye to the bigger areas rather than a lot of distractions in the property. And so preparing the home for sale is vital. By the time somebody has driven into your neighborhood, driven down the street that they have to drive down to get to your home, driven up the walkway, gotten out of the car, walked up to the home, and then gotten in the front door, maybe waited outside for a second or minute or two as the realtor undid the access or the key to get in, by the time they're standing in that foyer, 75 to 80% of the buying decision has already been made.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy? Because the facts and the figures about your house has already been assessed before they ever came. So they've already looked at it online. They've probably looked at it on a printout sheet. So they've already determined that it really suits. And so now it's just, how does it feel? And so by the time they're in the foyer, about 75% of their buying decisions already been done. If they love your home at that point, they're walking through your house going, wow, and looking for everything that makes them confirm the decision they've already made. And if, on the other hand, they're standing in the foyer and they see scratches on the floor and they see dings in the paint and they see some fingerprints from the kids that didn't get wiped, and it's just, there's some dust and it's just not attractive, then they're going to be thinking, I don't like this place. And they're going to again be walking through your house attempting to confirm the decision they've already made.
Right.
It's just not a great decision.
So preparing starts really at the curb up to the house and then all the way through the home. And one of the things that we really stress with our sellers is things like dog smell or cat smell or
Cooking smells?
cooking smells. So people are buying emotionally, and their emotions are affected by the sensories. So the temperature of the home needs to be right. It needs to be cool in the summer and warm in the winter. The smell needs to be pleasant and clean. The sounds, maybe soft music playing, a candle lit, or some fresh flowers cut on the table. There's all kinds of, because that's does the visual and the smell from the flowers. All of those things work, and people decide to buy a home. Sometimes they don't even know why they're buying the home, but it's all these things combined. So that preparing the home is hugely important. And we have a little bit of joke around, we're pet lovers. We had a dog, we've had cats. And yet, when you're selling a home, those animals are a detriment to your sale.
Well, there aren't always. They can be.
They can be. They want to be out of sight, out of mind, out of nose. We don't want to smell them. We don't want to know you had one. And we don't want them barking when we open the door, right?
Right, because then it can be a deterrent for somebody coming to look at the property. And
because some
turned
people
off.
love pets. Some people have allergies to pets. Some people, are afraid of dogs. So what we want to do is make your home as pleasant and able for as many buyers as possible, because those buyers, we don't want to turn anyone off, because they might be the right buyer.
Well, we don't want to turn them off needlessly.
Yeah.
If it's not the right home for them, if it's the wrong layout, if it's just not in the right neighborhood, then hopefully they didn't even come see it, because they figured that out before they even drove and had the seller vacate the property to have it looked at, right?
Yeah, so we've prepared the house. It's beautiful. It smells great. It looks great. As a matter of fact, we've had sellers say, I don't want to sell my house anymore. I like it so much after we've staged it.
Especially once they see the property brochure.
Yeah, they say, hey, I'd buy this house. And
so that's progressive marketing. And
that's
that
the
part
next
of
part?
that, yeah, that's your next P. And so
Okay.
progressive marketing would include the property brochure that we're talking about, the quality photos, the professional video, all of that is part of that, and then the marketing reach. You talked a little bit about the technology a little earlier on, Ken. So it's really just being very progressive with the tools and the marketing techniques of getting it out there. It could be blogging about the property, utilizing Facebook, Kijiji, used Ottawa. 150 websites we have access through our syndicate, so we're going to put it on a half a dozen websites firsthand, and then they're going to pick up that property and even spread it further.
So now we progressively market the property, and what if we need to find buyers, right? And marketing's one way. What's another way to find buyers for our properties that we have for sale?
Proactively seek for buyers. So actually being on the phones and talking to people that live in the area, because they may know someone that wants to move to the area of where the property's located. So actually connecting with your neighbors, whether it's on the phone or nice friendly phone call, or whether it's delivering a property brochure, or whether it's delivering an invitation to an open house.
Okay.
Just getting the word out. Word of mouth promotion is part of that progressive, proactive approach to finding a buyer for a home.
Okay, so we've covered 6 P's.
We have. What's the last one,
The
Ken?
last P, we're going to price watch, because we do our best to get the most amount of money for your home and sell it in the least amount of time. But sometimes in our want to get the most, we might price right at the top of the market. And we're going to watch the pricing of the houses on a weekly basis, because maybe there's new houses that come on the market that are competition for your home, and we need to know about that. Or maybe one of the houses that was on the competition and we were priced just slightly below in a comparable home, and they dropped their price. Well, we need to know that. Or maybe they sell their home first. We need to know what it sold for so that we can update our sellers on a weekly basis to make sure they know that their home is priced properly and we're doing everything possible to get it sold for them. So price watching is the 7th P.
Yeah. That's perfect, Ken. Is there anything else you would want all sellers to know? Because I think we've just got a couple of more minutes to share with them today.
Well, I think you, as a seller, you want to know that you've got a group of professionals that are going to market your home, a great company behind them that supports them and trains them, and that you're very, very comfortable with the person that's selling your home for you. There's a trust level that's built, and it's very, very important that you trust them and that they're really looking out for your best interests. The worst thing I find is in a weak moment, a person picks a weak agent who maybe isn't quite as strong as a negotiator, or skilled, and they choose the wrong person. So make sure you're interviewing your realtor really well. Many times sellers will only interview one realtor, and that's fine. Just make sure that we know the right questions to ask, to know that that person knows the market, is comfortable with the area that they're selling in, because we're licensed to sell all over Ontario, but I certainly wouldn't list a property for sale in Toronto because I don't have a clue about what's going on, and it would do them a disservice. Even if it was a family member or friend, I would refer them to a great realtor in Toronto before pretending that I understood that market.
Right. That's another P, Ken.
Is that another P?
You don't want to pretend.
Oh, I don't want to pretend. That's true.
And really your job and your role as a realtor, as a professional realtor, is to protect the seller's interest.
Yes.
To keep them safe, to protect them, and to give them peace of mind as they're going through this entire journey of getting into a new home. Because they do say moving is one of those stressors in life. And so we want to ensure that we reduce as much of that as humanly possible, right?
That's right. So we here at the Decker team are here to keep you safe, to serve and protect, almost like the police. This is awesome. And so we're sure you've got further questions, and we'd love to answer them. So all you need to do is call us at 613-860-4663, and we can set up a private consultation. Maybe you just need to see what your home's worth, or rough value, or what you should do to it. Give us a call. We're happy to help. And also, if you have any questions you'd like us to answer on future shows, simply send an email to deckerteam@chri.ca. And that's DEKKERTEAM@chri.ca. And look for our trucks around in our cars. They have Decker Team stripe all over them. You can't miss us. Wave or honk or something. We'll think we did something wrong, but it's okay. We'll smile even if we don't know you. And we'll talk to you next week on the Inside Track.
See you then.
You wanna